Okay, hey guys, Ryan here. It's Monday, and we're going to be going live here on X and YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. I've got S with me. We are the founders of Convo Agent. We help businesses, enterprises, specifically usually larger businesses. I'd say medium to size businesses implement conversational AI. We both have our own AI agencies, and we've been going down this path for quite some time with smaller businesses. And what Convo Agent is a way for us to have an offering for people, for businesses that really want to implement AI on a larger scale through APIs, and where they would want to have an AI agent not just answer the phone, but also go through the entire workflow of their business, meaning from beginning to end, from the entry point of where their client comes in the door, all the way to getting a review at the end. So, and everything in between. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I did put a pretty interesting title and description in. That hopefully you guys, we can talk about. But usually what I like to do is, and by the way, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask questions in the comments. And then, afterwards as well, if you're not watching this live, I will respond to you. If you have any questions, you can join us Mondays at 1 o'clock, and where we'll continue having these conversations for business owners that are looking to really automate their business, simplify their business. We talk about automation. We have talked about automation for years now. Usually that involves leveraging some sort of auto follow-up, email sequencing, things like that. Now we can actually have human-like interactions because of the voice and that the AI agent has, and the capabilities that the AI agent has through connecting with APIs or through APIs to the CRM of a business, and everything else that a business does, or any other way that people connect with a business. So with that, yeah, what's going on? That's
Well, yeah, I mean, I think your title is good because that was literally the thing that was on my mind recently,
Yeah.
where um, I think the technology for fully automating an entire function that a human would take,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think we're at the 90% mark,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where for businesses, and if people are in a business where there's a large incumbent or somebody that can throw money at something and say, okay, we're gonna go have an AI tool that really does the complete job of not just one business but for all businesses, that where there's a function for this at the 100% mark, that company is going to grow like gangbusters,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because to say, in every industry, if let's just say, you have 10 competitors out there and you're the first one, right? All you need is number two to be on,
Mm-hmm.
like, to adopt it, and then number three does, right? And then pretty much you've put your employee at every firm,
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't make sense for a business not to, right? To
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, well, I hire a staff of 10 people to do this. Um, you have an AI in there that, sure, the very first time takes a while,
Mm-hmm.
um, but once it's in there, it could do the job of the nine, and you can use to hire one manager.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, there's nothing that can actually stop that from happening, because it just doesn't make business sense for every single one of those companies to go, okay. And I think, yeah, up to now, we've been at a technology, it was capped by the abilities of technology.
Mm-hmm.
And with the work, you and I've been doing and our teams have been doing with some of these companies,
Mm-hmm.
I finally feel comfortable to say in 2026,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your business is, we can have an AI that can do any and all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because you think about all the component pieces, right? And let's just say, and we said this for the longest time, right? To say, hey, look, if you employ people to work on the computer for you, when the computer's able to do it itself, right?
Yeah.
And the only other piece of that wasn't automatable was the communication with other humans, right? Like, okay, sure, I can enter this information, this case information into the computer, but now I need to go talk to, Sue down the hall about this thing, or I need to reach back out to the client to ask for this piece of information, right?
Yeah.
And so communication was that missing piece. And because our teams have done so many at bats at different companies that, whether it be client communication or third party communication or communication with the CRM, or kind of, I consider after the AI talks with a lead or a client, that it reports back to its boss, right? To say, hey, I just had this conversation. It was really this. I think, we should do this next, right? That's a prompt, right? And so that notification is a communication too. And once you have all the mediums, that's like, okay, how do you do this? You do this on Slack, you do it on Messenger. Do you call up your boss afterwards? Do you text them? Do you email them? Right? Once you have an AI that can use all those channels, now, like, okay, we're finally entering the stage where, there's full automation.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think that it's interesting because one of the things that I found as a topic today is an article where Gardner, or I guess Gardner, is saying that the agentic AI systems are going to be able to autonomously resolve up to 80% of customer support issues by 2029, and I think that I'm like 2029. I mean, we can do that now. I mean, I would say,
Right.
this is what you were just talking about. I mean, you're saying 90% there. They're saying it's only going to be 80% there by 2029. I don't know where that's the disconnect, I think,
I mean, well, here's this, right? Amazon, we're used to now ordering whatever paper towels on Amazon. It's been around for 20 years. The capabilities to do this have been there since the early 2000s.
Right.
It took that much time for, consumers to adopt it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where they might say, okay, by 2029, but the technology to do it is available by 2026.
Right. And that's the biggest disconnect is that because I was listening to a guy that's in AI safety, like basically keeping AI safe, and he was saying that right now, and there's a big disconnect between what our capabilities are and what the adoption is of the capabilities that are possible. And I would agree with that. I mean, the capabilities that are out there have grown so rapidly that people's ability to consume them or even be aware of them and understand them has really lagged. Yeah, has really lagged behind what is available and what can be done. So I think that's really interesting, and it's and what he was saying is that he wishes that we would just use what we currently have and not have the AI go any further, in terms of its ability to, to get to AGI to where it could be, really scary or whatever. But I agree. I mean, I agree with him is that we're in a situation where the market has just not caught up to what the capabilities are and what people's understanding of the capabilities are. And that's why we're doing this, is to really, to share with people, what is capable. And, the second topic is multi-agent collaboration. where AIs use, use teamwork to win. So instead of just having one agent, you have a team of agents, and this is what people talked about for a while, to communicate, to pass tasks between each other, and to solve more complex problems together. And this is why right now that it's possible to do more than just answer the phone. I mean, you can, so it's really important that people understand these concepts and what is possible, and what makes these things possible, what makes it possible for us to, say that we can do almost 90% of what a business does with just AI agents.
Yeah. There's a part of me that I kind of go, the people who talk about the AI ethicists are like the food critics of AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think, for the practitioners in it, they're, you know, I mean, just even addressing the issue of safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go, how safe are you humans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, why are we holding AI to a standard that's almost unachievable,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it more so speaks to the almost the axe to grind of the person talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my interest in it as not a practitioner is to say pump the brakes on it. The
Mm-hmm.
people who are doing it, it's kind of like climbing a mountain, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's dangerous climbing a mountain. But the people who are actually climbing the mountain are like, why are you thinking about the safety of what I'm doing? Right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
hard enough for me to kind of push my way up the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's an element of it that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in a way, it's actually a disservice to the people who will listen to their advice,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, hey, don't move forward, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're at the risk of taking two steps back, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, yeah, that's always going to be true, right? Um, and then on kind of like, so you know, like I listen to that. I feel like it speaks more to understanding the angle that they're coming in with, right? Like, let me something that's a little too fast for me, and I'm throwing that up as an objection because I don't want people to get ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, so, and I think they're not going to be successful, right? Like, who are you trying to tell? It's to say like, hey, there's a safety with every technology. There's a risk, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think you know the internet, like most of the things that started off the internet were not, it was for things that would be taboo,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it's yeah. I mean, I like listening to the people who have ideas,
Mm-hmm.
because that really kind of pushes you know the market forward. Um, I want to talk about that issue of the multi agent, right?
Yeah.
Um, that is happening in a way that it's only multi agent in the sense that there are different AIs in the ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
meaning Gemini, Google, I mean, like OpenAI, Anthropic, right? And then different players within that. So like the capabilities of one AI are actually, it could do everything, right? And I think it's more a the land grab is happening. It will have already happened, and now how do we have these agents kind of speak to each other? And I think that this MCP, this is a common language, if you will, amongst agents is kind of what's evolving, and we're keeping a pretty close eye on that. Um, and I think players like Google, Anthropic, OpenAI are already making investments in that to say, okay, well, we have the land already. Now, how do we make it so that people will use it? And I think I've been saying this for a while, and this is for the benefit of everybody listening, right? There is a version of AI, businesses that have AI, um, that by having an AI that will be part of this multi-agent network, if you will, is the entry fee. The people who haven't paid the entry fee are gonna, there's a whole next generation of business that's gonna happen that they're missing out on. And we see it with Google already, personal assistants that are able to make outbound communications, right, to businesses on behalf of a consumer, right? And that's kind of the multi-agent thing. Hey, I use my Google Assistant that's now talking to other agents on behalf of a customer, right? And those agents are not people, because these requests are going to come at 2 a.m. They need a response right away. Somebody's chatting with Gemini or chatting on ChatGPT. I need a lawyer. I'm in Atlanta. I just got in an accident. I need somebody who can take this on. Who will that be? There's no human that can respond to that in the amount of time it takes for the AI to give that answer, right? And so version 1 of this is this world of GEO happening, generative engine optimization, right? That's like the, get your meta tags, get your website up, get all these things, answer your put FAQs in your website so that when a chatbot combs through, Google, these will be answered. That's version 1. And then the version 2 is it doesn't even go use the internet.
I was wondering about that. With the FAQs, I've been talking about the meta tags, and it's more schema markup is what I think is what they were talking about. Is make sure you've got your schema markup, because that lets the bots know what to crawl and where to crawl for certain information. Because if you mark up your FAQs with FAQ schema, then it will know that to go there and to look for answers before it gives a result in the large language model, whether that's Gemini or ChatGPT, etc. But in order for a plumber to get to leverage FAQs,
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering how would they know what to create FAQs about in order to, because what people are searching for is they're searching for plumber near me. So I mean, I guess sometimes somebody might look for plumber for a toilet backup, or and then but most everybody's going to have information, I would think, in their website about that. Or maybe it's emergency plumbing, so then if they type in emergency plumber near me, then they would specifically go to the FAQ section. And obviously if you had an FAQ section where you talked about emergency plumbing and the fact that that your company does emergency, because I was just talking to a guy about this last week. He actually he was a commercial plumber.
Mm-hmm.
And he really wanted to highlight that he's a commercial plumber, because it was interesting, because I couldn't believe that, he hadn't seen this, but he didn't have anywhere on his website where he talking about commercial plumbing. Yet that's all he does is commercial plumbing. He literally doesn't do residential plumbing. And it was very interesting. But a lot of these commercial plumbers are they've got it so good because they've got commercial jobs. So they get these big jobs where they literally are able to do work. They have 2 or 3 clients, and they've got 90 locations each. They've got 300 locations between three different businesses. They've got maybe they got Wendy's in southeastern Texas, and there's 90 Wendy's in southeastern Texas. And so they're busy. So they don't really but they're always looking for new commercial clients. But so how would somebody like that, like I was like sitting there trying to think, like, how would I, obviously you could put in there like commercial, you could create an FAQ like commercial plumbing what's the difference between commercial plumbing and residential plumbing? You could create an FAQ about that, I guess, and anything that's a sub derivative of commercial plumbing that maybe residential plumbing doesn't do, specifically. Like, why do commercial plumbers deal with boilers and not residential as much? Because boilers are typically bigger and blah, 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 So I guess I'm just answering my own question, but I was just kind of thinking about that because, I was thinking like, this is what you got to think about as a business, because I was doing searches and I was trying to help him, guide him. And we're doing searches in the actual search engines, like kind of like you and I did, I think last week or the week before, which is very interesting to see the results. I mean, basically, by the way, I don't know if you've seen it. It's worth doing just to see. Hopefully, Google's changed it by now. I was blown away to see that Google, with as long as they're the first kid on the block for creating Google Maps and Google Business Profile or Google My Business. Yet ChatGPT's results for local businesses looks more like Google Business Profile than Google's LLM result looks. It's unbelievable. And what was interesting is I was shocked to see that ChatGPT was actually using the reviews from Google. They were taking and scraping, which I didn't think they were even able to do that. I would think that they would use somebody else because I would think that they would really be counter to Google in terms of, wanting to promote it. But I found that very fascinating. I mean, we can go kind of delve into this a little bit more. It's interesting that you mentioned, by the way, MCPs, because the next topic was MCPs. It was the Universal Language Establishing Smarter Agents, explaining how there's an interoperability between that. It was developed by Anthropic, but between Anthropic, OpenAI, Google. Basically, it allows the agents that are created by each one of these different large language models to communicate with each other.
Yeah, I mean, it was like internet, right? The internet's only possible with internet protocol, IP, right?
Right.
Like we're on IPv4, right? Like most internet, because you need a mutual language to connect up all these disparate kind of servers and pages, if you will, right? So to answer your question, I think, yes, you kind of answered your own question. That was an exercise that we went through with one of our enterprise clients.
Yeah.
And they were saying, okay, well, I'm going to create content, right? But we were kind of saying like, yes, that and just in running my own internet business for a decade.
Yeah.
The content that we get to our site was when we talked about things that just wasn't online, meaning ask a question that shows your expertise, right? And Google actually made a change to its SEO, right? They've pushed this whole concept of useful content, but then not provided any context, right?
Yeah.
And they basically said, I don't know, you're in your own industry, whatever you think is useful content to the people who might be searching for something, right? And in the case of commercial plumber, exactly something like that, right? Why you need a commercial plumber if you have a boiler that is like this, right? And then having that paragraph, and version 1 of how these LLMs. So we started, we've shown up on LLMs for a while. I just talked to a client she's like, I'm showing up, ChatGPT is recommending me. I'm like, yes, because the first iteration is, well, as data source, ChatGPT can rely on its own foundation model, or it could have made an internet search on exactly what the last message you just wrote or the conversation history, right? Searched it, scraped Google, found the first the top 10 search results, and now inputs says that, right? So that's precisely like the only way, because just think of the whole range of questions somebody can ask ChatGPT, right?
Right.
Like, and now that it does internet search, it's literally pulling from Google. And for a couple of weeks, I was like, dang, we've done all this stuff to optimize for Google, but ChatGPT is half owned by, OpenAI is half owned by Microsoft. Am I going to have to do Bing optimization too now, right?
Yeah.
And actually, OpenAI came out about a month and a half or 2 months ago that said, or people have seen that there was a switch that ChatGPT, OpenAI started defaulting to Google. It
Yeah.
started mirroring Google's results a lot more, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing.
And I think that was all part of the published like fallout between OpenAI and Microsoft.
Wow.
And they made that switch. And yes, that's the version one of the okay. If somebody asks, like okay, this we started, in this apartment building, we're not
Mhm.
getting hot water, right? Like,
Mhm.
all right, who do I need to call to fix the boiler,
Mhm.
right? And if you had published content that was like okay, these models require this because they require expertise here,
Right.
that's exactly the information ChatGPT is drawing on to actually say that when you're in that ChatGPT chat, right?
Yeah.
And then your source is going to be okay, like whoever published that.
Yep.
And so with the real estate one, we actually said, he asked me like, what kind of content should I put up, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, first the answer is you should know better than me, but I understand why you're asking that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for years I've been telling people to go on Google Trends, right?
Yeah.
Like go look, you should look in your search console, see why people are visiting your site, look at the queries, right? And then whatever information you gave there, now put yourself in the hat of somebody who might hire you or go to your company,
Yeah.
right? And basically, the solution for this enterprise client was to say, hey, look, if we popped a chat widget in your website, you never had an idea of what everybody was thinking. Wish you would answered and ask the AI on your site through us, right? And
Yeah.
then take those conversations, the answer that the AI gives, automatically publish it as a blog post. So now you have content creation being done not by, you know, your social media intern who goes, "Ooh, I think in title they would want to know about this." Nope, it's from people who actually visit your site,
Yeah.
ask those questions, AI answers it, and you're having like your audience, your target audience, create content for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you're saying is have people go to your site and that are actually looking for something and then type in the question. That way, you know exactly what they want. I think it's a great suggestion. Let me share my screen here really quick. I mean, I think that this is here. So you can see here. Here's the result I was talking about.
Yep.
If I typed in commercial plumbing Eagle Pass,
Mm-hmm.
look at these results. You got a map. You literally have a map. And Google, when you go to Gemini and you do the same search,
Yep.
they don't even have a map. I was shocked. I mean, hold on. I want to show you. I mean, so ChatGPT looks more like Google's Google Business Profile than Gemini does. So Gemini, basically Google's not using their own data to generate an experience that people are used to. This is what people are used to. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there is the, when you have a business
Yeah.
like that, Google has more of a business, they're not going to be able to move as fast because they're going to, make sure my 10 different levels of constituents,
Yeah.
right, are properly served. So they're probably going to be slower in this.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess. I mean, I just was shocked. I mean, because if you look at these guys, the reviews, these reviews, these 1,433 reviews are taken from their Google, the Google Business Profile page. I was blown away.
now
Yeah.
click one of those. You're going to see an OpenAI refer tag, I believe.
Well, I'm trying to. Here, you mean on directions or
Yeah,
website? Well,
website.
here, look at the bottom left. So google.com maps. Look, this is Google Maps. It says right here, google.com. Look at the bottom left of my screen down here, right here.
I know, but you have to see the refer tag at the end. Do website. Click website there, right?
Okay.
Click it. It's going to open a new window. Do you
Yep.
see the UTM
Yep.
tag?
Yep.
UTM source equals chatgpt.com.
Yep. So
So
they're adding all these up. They're tracking all these to show people basically the value of being on ChatGPT, like you were saying.
no, it's lead gen. So that when they monetize this thing and say, they go, hey,
Yeah.
look, ChatGPT sent you 100 leads last month. Well, whenever they monetize and they go, okay, I could feature somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think we're saying the same thing a different way.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's to show the value of being listed on their directory, on their large language model, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
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 They'll monetize at some point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. I mean,
But
in the
on the
direction.
technical part,
Yeah.
by the way, Ryan,
Yeah.
think about what ChatGPT is doing, right? It's basically punch that query into Google. Google has now returned to your website potentially a link to a map,
Yeah.
right? All those kind of calls to action, right?
Yeah.
That's a scrape. They can render it, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT, because it can show pictures and images and buttons, right?
Yeah.
It was just all right, give me the HTML page on the first page of Google, right?
Yep.
And let me render all those elements,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So
it.
that's more just like a technical thing, and that's probably the easiest to do.
Yeah.
All the elements of how to display, non-text information is in the scrape that's returned to the browser, so they can
Yeah.
just re-render all those elements.
Wow. Yeah. So they did a simple job of basically just recreating what. Yeah.
Yep.
And they're able to
And
move faster. Yeah.
yeah, and if for nothing else, show the page itself. And then as you have your own, that might be a version of maps that ChatGPT goes, hey, like we use a third party for that, or we developed our own. And, let's just use somebody else's
Mm-hmm.
until we have ours ready. And when we have ours ready, we just swap out that module to show our maps instead.
Right. Yeah. That you're saying that ChatGPT or your Gemini is going to do that? You're saying?
No, ChatGPT does that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
doing it, right?
Yeah.
That maps isn't Google Maps. But
Yep.
those buttons
Yep.
are LSA ads.
Yep.
Right? Or
Yep.
Google Business Profile buttons.
Yep. Yeah, and you can see, it gives a fast breakdown: pro, recovering, residential, and commercial. They're just scraping this from the website.
Yep. I mean,
yeah.
ask something else, right? Who's taking on which one of these are taking on new clients, right? Like that's the version 2 that I'm talking about. That's like you clicked on that first one and they say call and text. If they had an AI on there, if somebody asked ChatGPT, which one does boilers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me look. Hold on. Okay. Which one works? Searching the web. Texas. Okay. Boiler. So here, notes: clearly advertises boiler repair or replacement. Offers water tankless, but no mention of boilers. So let's go to Texas plumbing experts. I want to see on their website where they talk about it. It says your best bet, Texas Plumbing, especially commercial setting. They're the only provider on the list that calls it out by name. They're local license. Okay, so let's go to Eagle Pass. This must be where they found it, right here.
Yep.
Emergency, commercial, water, sewer, burst pipe, hydro, clogged, toilet, sink, garbage disposal, shower, backflow, gas leak, boiler, right here.
There you go.
This is where they pulled it.
So that's where I say the next version is on that little chat widget on the bottom right. If this was the one that didn't have it, right, and this was all hooked up to MCP, like we had an AI agent for this company, which we scraped their website, right? So the AI would know whether they do boilers or not. Right. That next version is going to be able to chat and go, yes, do you do boilers? Yes, we do boilers. Right?
Yes. Yeah. So what S is saying is that there would be a chat either in line here, we like to call it, like on the page, that you don't have to press a button to have it, pop open. Or like this one, it's a button like this, but instead of the call, it would pop open a chat. Like everybody's seen that. And here's the FAQ section right here. But once somebody clicks on that, then they would be able to ask the question of, oh, do you handle boilers? So that if somebody goes to the website, they'd be able to see that. But in order to find out if somebody's got boilers or works on boilers, if you're asking an LLM, again, it's so important to put all that information on your website. And as a catch-all, you put it down here in the FAQ section,
And in the next year, when all our AI agents are going to be on an MCP server, right?
Yeah.
That's when you asked which one does boilers, in that split second, it would have known that, oh, Google is one of my sources, or, oh, they have an AI, right? This Eagle Pass plumbing company has an AI. Our AI has asked it already. It said, yes, we do boilers, right?
Yes.
That is the version 2 that I speak of.
So that's MCP in the sense that it's our agent at the company talking to the agent that is now going out and doing research on behalf of somebody looking for a service.
This agent being ChatGPT, right? When you asked, do you do boilers?
Yes.
If that company had one of our AI agents, right?
Yeah.
And once we have that on MCP, in that split second, it's going to be like, in that table, it's going to be like, yes. And the source is going to be, we chatted with their AI. Their AI says that they did boilers.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a bunch of agents just communicating with each other. So it's important. This is why I think this is obviously the point, is why it's important. And what we were talking about earlier is that you're going to have agents talking to agents. The language is MCP. Okay. And the point is if you're not, getting it, is that if you don't have an agent pretty soon, this other company was saying by 2029, I think it's going to be sooner than that. I mean, I don't want to be the last one. I think that's when the last 10, 20, 30% of businesses are going to start implementing this. I mean, if in 3 or 4 years, you don't have an agent, I mean, you're going to be so you're like, how is, if I do that search, like S was just saying, like that search that I just did, that I showed you on my screen, Google, like S said in the beginning as well, Google's already, just like ChatGPT is going to be doing, when you do a search, they're going to send out their own agent at that moment to go and start pinging different websites in the Eagle Pass area or whatever area it is that you're searching. And it'll start having multiple conversations all at the same time in order to find out which of these businesses fix boilers. And the only way that agent's going to be able to find out the answer to that question, other than like going to the website, the fast way is to talk agent to agent. And this is why it's really important. I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be really, which do you think is going to be faster? Do you think that they're going to do both? The agents are going to talk, or they're just going to like scan the website?
No, the version 1, they're already scanning the website. That's version 1 of GEO. The version 2 that I'm talking about is coming. Yeah. It's going to come in 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, OpenAI's real-time API, when they announced it, this is, we use it for voice. It's a voice-to-voice model. One of the major features that came out 2 weeks ago was an MCP server. So even though Anthropic had pushed the MCP kind of protocol, OpenAI has adopted it, right? And actually, here's a reason why Google isn't doing it themselves. They have their own model architecture, which is called A to A, right? Mm-hmm. And it's almost like if OpenAI is creating IP, right? Or Claude and Anthropic is creating the AI version of Internet Protocol, mm-hmm. Google is creating the version of Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
So A to A is more capable, more directory, right?
Oh, okay. So it has more to do with directory assistance as opposed to data, just like IP, like the infrastructure of communication. It's like how do you find this specific, which is what Google's done from the beginning, which is not surprising. I mean, that's their backyard. That's why I'm surprised that they're not doing that. They're not behaving more like ChatGPT in terms of, serving up results that look like what Google's been serving up in their search results for the last 15 years.
Because every single one of these Google business profiles is an A2A listing or profile, if you will, meaning it's a directory, right? Google already has its own white pages or yellow pages, if you will.
Right.
And
this is what I was talking to you about, which I would think is, going to give, because obviously a lot of business has been lost from Google, from people searching and finding their sponsored pay-per-click ads. And one of the things that I was telling you that I think is a little bit of a moat for what we do at my agency that I own, that I was a founder of, Accelerate Marketing, because we primarily focus on optimization of the Google Business Profile page and local service ads page, which is more of a hybrid pay-per-click optimization strategy, because it's almost like a search engine optimization and a pay-per-click strategy, in the sense that you have to do certain things in order to rank high. It's not, you can't just pay to play and just get as much business as you want. Right. And so that's why I think there's a little, because Google has spent so much time, energy, and effort over the past 14 years developing that network of businesses, the new yellow pages, that I think that there's a little bit of a moat there, in that I think that other LLMs are almost going to have to go to them in order to get access to their data, because they already have the data on millions of businesses throughout the world, more so than we do.
So here's the interesting piece. As you say that, I actually think, because ChatGPT, when you go, plumbers and Eagle Pass, right? Mm-hmm. Google has already had as a hierarchy, which is, okay, if I'm mobile, they get LSA first, then it's a PPC, then it's a Google Business Profile, then it's a zero search, and then organic search results are number 6. Right, on the page. I wouldn't be surprised if what ChatGPT said, well, screw you, 1, 2, 3, 4, which we're not going to pay for. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to Google's organic one and bubble that up first. And then, because OpenAI isn't being paid by any of these, so it doesn't have all these different tiers of relationships to protect. Right?
It has no horse in the race at all. So it can do whatever it wants.
Because it now just appends that whole refer equals ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
And let's
So what I'm wondering is just you were alluding to this idea that ChatGPT has this yellow pages, the modern yellow pages, which is Google Business Profile listings. So is that, I mean, there's value there, obviously, in the sense that they've organized all of that information and they've gathered it together so that people, so do you think that makes it so that so is that what the other
A2A?
Yeah. Is that so that A2A allows people to search those directories? And I remember us talking about this, I think when I was on vacation, you were telling me about this, because it allows people to search through that directory of businesses that they've built over the past 14 years. And that is a very interesting topic. And I wonder if, because there's actually a big Google Business Profile optimization meeting right now going on in Indianapolis with what's her name? The queen of Google Business Profile optimization. And I wonder how much they're talking about this now, because they've been at the top of Google Business Profile optimization for years. And I'm just curious, and this whole meeting has happened for, I think she's got a whole forum online, and her name escapes me. I can't believe I'm not remembering. But anyway, bottom line is that they I'm wondering how much of their conversations now, because of how much business is being taken, how many search results are now happening on large language models, how much time they're spending on that, or what we're talking about right now, and A2A.
Yeah, and they should be spending at least 40% of their time.
I agree.
because that's the overall drop in clicks
Yeah.
that every website is experiencing, because when the top search result is a generative AI, right, that answers that question, people don't click.
Yeah.
So click traffic to websites is down 40%. So the people
Yes.
that are doing SEO better be spending 40% of their time on GEO. And Google hasn't published their yellow pages quite yet, but when they do, whoever can get on that first
hmm
will get a lot of free traffic.
So Google hasn't published their yellow pages yet. You mean like their 808 with 808? You
Mhm.
mean? Yeah.
Yep, there needs to be a, and
What do you,
how the initial version is probably going to be LSA, in their ranking algorithm, because they have to. There's the PPC, LSA, GBP, right, and then
yeah.
organic, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So their yellow pages is probably going to start with the LSA ones, right?
Of
People who are
course.
already paying us for it.
So do you think others are going to adopt the 808, or others going to have to?
Well, no, they talked about this being complementary protocols. One is kind of like, let me search through a directory
Yeah.
of things, and another one is like, let me speak to you in a different language, in an
Yeah.
AI language, right?
Yeah. The MCP is like, let's talk in AI language. Yeah. And the
Yep.
directory is 808.
Yep.
Um,
And so
yeah.
I think that's actually why Google hasn't pushed theirs, because you can, like, people are already up in arms, right?
Mhm.
Generative is bringing down site traffic, clicks 40%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And imagine if they didn't prioritize their 808 directory and just went straight to MCP. Now your people who pay you for leads to be on LSA, right, are going
Yeah.
to be like, oh my God, I pay you for this, and somehow I'm still not
Showing
like
up.
top of it, right? So I
Yeah.
think they have, more layers to kind of figure through.
Yeah. There's nothing that'll piss somebody off more than to have them pay for search rankings and then them not show up. You want to see
Right,
somebody get pissed. I've witnessed that for, the better part of 16 years. At
right.
some point. Whether that's through search engine optimization or local service ads optimization or Google business profile optimization in one way, shape, or form, that's you don't have a happy camper at that point. So there's a few more things that I put down in the description. AI ready data foundations, just getting back to the enterprise level, Convo Agent stuff. This is a great topic though. I mean, for people that don't know this, I mean, we will have time at the end. We got about 10 more minutes to delve a little bit more into it, but I want to make sure that we just, talk about some more of these enterprise level agentic topics. AI ready data foundations. This is the silent hero behind agentic success. So basically the bottom line is that your data needs to be available and it needs to be organized. Just like you need to have your workflow organized and identified so that we can identify every step of your process that the agents can be interjected into or to take over. Some studies have shown that 78% of enterprises are unprepared for agentic deployment due to data readiness issues. This is from Tech Radar. So that's interesting. There's another thing here. Compliance brain assistant aligning agents with enterprise compliance needs. So this is the other thing that is a very important consideration. And I think it really speaks to some of our deployments in that we've deployed agents that are in alignment with compliance needs. You can actually, we can let somebody have their own, basically run the agent on their own server and put firewalls up so that it's completely safe and would comply with everything that they would need. So, if you've got compliance workflows that are really that could be compromised that you're concerned about, then this is where it really becomes important.
Yeah, I mean, to speak to that, like with all our enterprise deployments, that's always been kind of the question, right? Is like,
Yeah,
okay, what data do you want your AI to have access to? We've
yeah,
had some enterprises that go, I'm going to give you 200 documents. These are the documents that aren't, super private, that we don't need to be siloed off, behind some wall, right?
mhm,
It's kind of just like the stuff that you would give your clients, but you wouldn't just publish on the internet, right? and give your AI access to that. And that's kind of like the first layer. The second layer is even personal account information, right? Like sometimes when you interact with a business, you want to say, hey, like give me my invoices, right? And that's really what the MCP layer is kind of getting towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if a client approached us and said, okay, well, we have this data, we want these capabilities for the AI. It's almost like, well, here's privileged client information. You don't want it, being able to answer, but there's some layer in the middle of data that we want the AI to have access to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's if somebody asks, hey, like we have this data, we want the AI to access this information, but only for this client, right? That's where that MCP server kind of comes in, right? Like that middle layer of this is the information where you need to check whether I can give it to this person chatting on the other side or not.
Yeah, that's where the MCP servers, where it's universal and safe at the same time, and there's a universal dialect for.
And there's a growing need for this in the market that what's beginning to be called for deployed AI engineers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you go to a business and say, okay, well, let me look at your source data, let me make that decision for you. Here's the security feature that you need to understand, but here's kind of like the deeper thing that you want an end user to be able to access, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want, down to this case level, but I want to understand how many boiler like jobs that they've done, right? And
Yeah.
if you as a business are willing to expose that information, that's where when we come in and say, hey, look, we're a member of your company building AI. What do you want the AI to have access to? And I think that's kind of like our job, is why we charge so much, right? Because we act as like your tech team that builds out a product, but is doing consulting at the same time. It's kind of like, here's your AI arm, your future tech arm.
Yeah.
Right. And we
make it's something that people haven't considered. It's been jumbled up with, people that you would employ, and so now we're in charge of these new people. We're the liaisons between these business owners and these new employees that they're going to have. So we've got to educate these business owners on what the capabilities of these new employees are, and at the same time help them understand and how to train them, and because there's a process involved in that, and then also help them understand what can be put in place to make sure there's compliance and security and safety, and is there information that you would want to give this new person that you're training, this AI agent, access to, or information that you want them to share that's different than what you have on your website, for example, or whatever, wherever else.
And I think that speaks to the 70% aren't prepared for this. No, it's 99% aren't prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
Because like these are things that your employees like decided on the spot because they had access to certain information. Like when you enter in a conversation, what can you tell the person on the other side that you have rapport with? Oh yeah, we've done 20 boiler jobs. They're as big as this. I'm not going to name names, but it's no business is prepared data wise to make that decision right now, right? That's why they need folks like us to kind of go in and say, hey, okay, I think you should expose this information, right? But stop here because here's the consideration you're not thinking about. Right?
Yeah, it might open you to some other new thing. So we've got about 3 more minutes. I want to go back really quick. So what is Google's long-term goal with A2A?
It's basically to piggyback off of their already Yellow Pages, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Their version of Yellow Pages is in alphabetical. It's in the order of LSA, then PPC, then GBP, then organic, right? And so that's what they're going to need to do, is kind of figure that out. And maybe they have, look, it may come down straight down to price, right? Like, all right, who pays me the most? That's the first on the 808 result, right? So I think they're experimenting with it already. So I think, the takeaway for everybody is like, look, there's a certain amount of information we know about GEO that we can foresee no other way for GEO to progress. And then there's just the complete unknowns because they're experimenting themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's just being nimble, but understanding these are the concepts, these are the things that's happening. And all you could do is just position yourself, right?
Mhm.
I don't know what Google's search algorithm is going to be in 2015,
Yeah.
but it's 2005, and it's 5 years in. I should have a website. Same thing as it's the equivalent of 5 years in 2005, and we're telling people we'll give you your website, we'll give you your AI agent, so that it's positioned for what the 100 iterations of Google search that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so we talked about a lot today, and I think that it was good conversation. Bottom line is that there's a lot of changes happening in AI, and like S just said, I mean, this is the equivalent of the internet. And I think even more impactful than the internet, because it's not just serving up information about your website. It's employing a employing an entity, for lack of a better word, to take over the roles in your business, not just serve as a bulletin board, in the form of a website that just is now available to everybody in the world. We're actually, giving you the access to basically hire employees, train them once, and have them take over every job that you have in your business.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
will add, actually, OpenAI is not monetizing this. In fact, that's what their announcement on OpenAI ChatGPT Consulting is.
Yeah.
By the way, the entry fee is $10 million. So
Yeah.
imagine it's 2,000 right now, right? And
Mhm.
you say, I would love websites. I would love to have my own internet page, web page, right? ChatGPT, OpenAI is basically saying to the market, yeah, we can build your web page for you. It's going to be $10 million to start because that's the demand. And
Yeah.
so that's where I'm like, we're busy. We're going to get a ton of jobs because if the alternative entry price is 10 million to get a website and we're waving our hand, they're being like, we'll charge you a fraction of that. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I'm trying to find the article, because there was, the article just came out recently.
yeah.
Expert AI consultant, ChatGPT. Let's see.
Actually, Ryan, I got to jump. I got a 2
Yeah.
o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Let's talk later. Thanks.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Jess. Bye. All right, guys. Let us know if you have any questions. Put the comments down below. We'll talk soon. All right. Thank you.